But like at the moment, this is the easiest part in all of sports.
You want to get this thing started as fast as possible. The key is not doing things that will hurt you long term in the short term. That can derail everything just because you're short-sighted with it.
What we basically heard from Ryan Poles yesterday on Cap and J Hood is that without saying it, he said it. They tanked last season because when asking about the depth or star players, all the different things, or spending in free agency, his responses were basically, we took a path where the team was less talented based on decisions we made, and the end result is we tanked. We got the number 1 pick. Okay, that's a great plan. Now is when the real work goes into action, and you need to get results because, as we've discussed, the NFL is all about hitting the bottom of the pool and jumping right back up. Teams in last place win their division each and every season. That happens every year in the NFL, and there are no 5-year rebuilds. So I'm asking you, how long should Bears fans expect this team to not try to win? Right? Where winning is not expected. Because I think at some point in this next season, we're all going to look around and say, they got to start winning some ball games.
Yeah, I expect them to win this year. I mean, I'm not of the waiting 3 years stuff. This is year 3 of Justin Fields. This is when you're expected to win. You have the tools, right? You have all of the tools, and you have the instruction manual in front of you. You just have to put together you have to use the little Allen wrench and put together the stupid little IKEA thing that's going to take you 5 hours to complete, right?
Well, I hope the pieces being put into this house are not IKEA furniture.
I know, right?
I'm hoping that we're getting some top level stuff. The IKEA stuff was for when we were in college.
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case with the Bears franchise. I mean,
it'd be great if Poles shows up to the draft with an Allen wrench and he's like, I'm doing this.
Let's get to work.
So you have all the tools though, right? You have Justin Fields, who they believe in and we believe in, and I think can take that next step when you add weapons around him. You have the number 1 pick in the draft. Whether you use it or you trade back to 2 or 4 or trade back again to 9, you are getting you are getting at least what we hope is a top 10 pick in the draft, if not more than just that in the first round or second round. You should have a chance to pick up at least 5 to 6 instant impact players in this draft. And this isn't anymore in the NFL where players need time to come out. You see these wide receivers come out and they make an instant impact on their team. You can have a chance, whether it's Quentin Johnston, whether it's Zay Flowers, whoever it is. You can have a team that Jordan Addison, you can have a wide receiver that makes an instant impact on your team. You have 2 decent offensive linemen that are young that you could add to and build this offensive line and play very well, right? We saw them play well when they were fully healthy last year. You have no defensive line, I get that, but that comes with the draft and that comes with free agency. Speaking of free agency, you have $100 million to spend. You have the most money by $40 million of anybody in the NFL. You have the money to spend, okay? Your secondary is pretty decent. You've got some players that you might need to extend. You have all the tools. You have all the, whatever analogy you want to make. You've got all the ingredients. You've got all the nails. You've got all the tools.
Building.
You whatever analogy you've got all the Legos. Whatever analogy you want. Sure.
With Legos. What do you want? You got a NASCAR one in there?
Whatever. You've got the pit crew is assembled. Yeah, the pit crew's ready. You got all those cool little things that they use for tightening bolts and screws and stuff.
Shane
real
Orling,
fast.
do you have an analogy for us? You got something for us? An analogy for this Bears team? You got something?
Dead team walking.
Oh, come on.
All right. Jake Cantu, you got something for us? Jake Cantu, how about an analogy? Add to the pile.
Dead producer walking.
That would.
I listen to Cap and J Hood. Shay is on our side with this. You have all the tools available. And not only that, but if you look at the
team walking,
the last time you built,
I mean, you ask me for an analogy, you know what you're going to get. But yeah, Adam is right. I think you can get it done.
Sure,
much quick. Not everybody, I say it like, oh, we can win 9 games maybe if we do the right things. And then Cap's like, Shea thinks they can go to the Super Bowl. I've never said that.
Dude, that's how he is.
Shea thinks they'll win the World Cup.
I'm also on Chris's side when he talks about don't take an offensive lineman, take a wide receiver if it comes down to between the two positions. Because we've seen that work out a whole lot more often than we've seen the revolutionary left tackle. Like the Colts fixed their offensive line with Quentin Nelson. And all it got them was murdered in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah. So my point is and also here's the thing though, look back. I don't know how the analogy is going to work for this one, but look back to last season. We talked about it where there were 5 or 6 games that were 1-score games. Yes, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. You were in a 1-score game with them. You had the ball literally ripped out of your hands against the Vikings. You were a butt cheek away from beating, was it the Commanders in that game?
Yeah.
From beating the Commanders.
Well, Thursday Night Football for you.
You had the opportunities to do it. You just didn't do it. You made a nice shelf, but it fell off the wall. So you could do this. You could turn those close losses into close wins. The recipe is there. The blueprint is there. Whatever analogy you want to use is there. You can do it. Are they going to go to the Super Bowl next year? Absolutely not. Are they going to make the playoffs next year? Probably not. But I expect them to be in the hunt until the end of the season. I expect them to be like the Lions were this year, where, okay, you got a bunch of good pieces. You have the quarterback. Everything's kind of coming together. You're maybe a game away from making the playoffs, but watch out next year because this team's going to add another. They've got 3 first. Watch this. The Bears have 3 first-round picks next year. That's scary. That is scary. That's what I expect people to be saying next year.
I think it's easy to point to Philly, and I think the comparison between Fields and Hurts, I think that's good. Unfortunately, moving that comparison along, the Bears roster is nowhere near where the Eagles roster was when Hurts got the starting gig.
Mm-hmm.
So they were already farther ahead in the process. But that's why I continue to point back to Jacksonville. Jacksonville was a bottom feeder who made the playoffs last year, who spent a lot of money in the offseason and developed their talent with a young quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is the better player than Justin Fields. I'll give that nod to Jacksonville. But I think when you compare the two teams, why can't you spend the money and develop the talent and sneak into the playoffs? The hope should be you're competing for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're getting in. The hope isn't getting to the second round, but I do think as a Bears fan, you should hope that Ryan Poles has enough assets for this offseason to improve the team enough that you're competing to get into the playoffs. I think that's certainly possible.
Week 16, week 17, I've said it before, I want Kornacki on Sunday Night Football being well, if the Lions lose this game and the Bears win this game, and then you've got a tiebreaker here with this team over here, and you've got this team over, I want that scenario. I want to be explaining playoff scenarios to people with the Bears. That's my hope. I think that they can get there too if they, and I don't say what you want about building stuff the right way. I don't have a definition for what that means. I know Cap says a lot. I know that Ryan Poles said it a ton yesterday. You have to build it the right way. That probably means building the offensive line and defensive line, and really just go get good players, man. Just go get good players, and whatever. Building it the right way doesn't matter to me if you're winning games. If you're winning games, then you've built it the right way. Right? That's, to me, that's just an analogy that people throw out there.
And to go full circle on this segment, when I continue to hear that, I think to myself each and every time, it's easy to say now.
Yeah.
You're not trying to win now.
Yeah.
And saying that you're working on your foundation, you're assembling the pieces, when you're basically telling the fan base that you tanked last season because of the talent that you acquired,
mm-hmm.
and you're intentionally not trying to win games, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's the easy part. The hard part now is assembling those pieces and spending the money on players that contribute to winning. That's what we're now focused on going forward.